Hey guys, good morning. It's Melanie with Lost and Found, and I am coming to you guys live this morning from my downtown Springdale studio. And we had such a blast this weekend at my Christmas open house. You may be able to see, we got a little bit of Christmas behind me. It's very Christmassy in here, and I love it. It's great. I know it's a tad bit early, but you guys know in retail, things move quickly. So we had a lot of fun, and I got to meet some new people and chat with some new people, and it was just a great time. And so I wanted to come on live here this morning, just real quick before I open the doors at 10, because I have been having this conversation with lots and lots of people recently and getting this question. It was funny, I didn't get this question for a long time, and now I'm starting to get it again a lot from people. And so that tells me that I think kind of furniture painting is kind of coming full circle. And so it's time to just address it again. It's time to talk about it again, okay? So the question that I've been getting from people a lot lately, just here locally and online, is why do I need to use this specialty paint for furniture? Why can't I just run down to Home Depot or Lowe's or Walmart or wherever and grab some latex paint? Just some regular paint that just is the paint we're all used to using. Why can't I do that, okay? So, and again, like I said, I haven't had that question for a long time, because when I first started as a paint retailer, chalk paint had just kind of come onto the market for about 2 years, and so people had already abandoned hardware store latex paint and embraced that idea of paint for your furniture. And so most people were kind of already there. They had already left it behind. Here's what I think is happening, is that we've gone now 5 or 6 years, with chalk paint, a little longer, and some people have tried it, and I think some people haven't liked it. They haven't liked the experience that they had. They maybe didn't like the texture, the way that it felt. It wasn't just exactly what they were expecting to walk away with. And I think in some places for some people, the cost is prohibitive. The first chalk paint on the market was only sold in quarts, and it was about $40 for a quart. And when you compare that to a quart of latex, that is really expensive. So I think people, kind of tried it, and then maybe the cost, and maybe they weren't particularly thrilled with the results. And then they've talked about it and told their friends, and it's like we're coming back again. We're coming back again and going, do I really have to use this paint? Like, there's a hardware store full of paint in any color that I want. Why do I need to use this paint that is for furniture? So I just want to talk about that for a minute. I want to give you guys just my reasoning and why I don't use latex. Why I used latex a long time ago, and why I stopped, and why I don't anymore. And just to share with you how I think, and if you are using that, just to give you something to think about. And if you haven't painted anything, to maybe answer that question, like why do we have this paint that's just for furniture? What is the point of that, okay? And I hope you guys know, those of you that are maybe new, if you've been following me for a while, I hope you guys know that I am really not a paint snob, okay? Like I really try not to be that person that's like, you gotta have this, and you gotta have this, and you gotta have this, and this fancy brush, and this fancy brush. You can have all sorts of stuff if you want, but you don't need fancy things. You don't need all the things. What I am about is working smarter and not harder, about saving money, and about teaching people how to decorate on a budget. That is my heart and my passion, because for the vast majority of my adult life, I have not had a budget to decorate and furnish my home. And so especially when we were first married, I was working with freebie, like free furniture that was given to me that I found on the side of the road. And so I started painting things as a practical solution because I didn't have the money to go buy new furniture. So that's my heart. My heart is to help people learn how to create a beautiful and unique and personalized home on a budget, and that they can do it, So, and I've told you guys before, and I'll say it again here just to reiterate, that I don't use and milk paint because I sell them. I sell fusion and milk paint because I use it. I was an antique dealer. I wasn't running around looking for paint to sell. I just was painting furniture as a part of my booth, and I happened to these two products that I loved and consistently worked really well for me. And so nobody was selling them in the area. And I thought, well, I want to do that. And then I want to teach other people how to use it. So I don't sell anything or stock anything that I don't use and that I don't think is actually really helpful in achieving that goal of creating a beautiful space on a budget. So just know, coming from that, that's my heart. So when I walk through what I'm about to walk through, that's where I'm coming from, okay? And I realize that I may step on some people's toes this morning, and that's okay. We're gonna have a dialogue, and I'm just gonna share my opinion and my thoughts. So, all right, there's really 3 reasons why I don't use latex paint for my furniture. And the reason number 1 is that latex paint is not built for furniture. It's not. It is built to use on walls, and it is built to go over primed and sanded large surfaces, okay? Latex paint is amazing for your walls. It's an incredible, amazing thing. The reason is because latex is it's the binder. It's what holds all the stuff in the paint together and allows you to be able to smear the color across your wall. And it does a great job at that, and you know what? It's cheap. It is really, really inexpensive. So that's why it's amazing for wall paint. Because guess what? Walls are big and you need a lot, right? So you don't want a really, really expensive binder in your wall paint, or else you're gonna be paying, $200 to paint a bathroom. And you don't wanna do that, right? None of us wanna do that. So latex is a cheap, inexpensive ingredient. So it's perfect to produce paint that has to cover a lot of stuff, all right? That's what it's made for. It's made to go on your walls, and it's made to go on your trim in your house, which should be primed and sanded to have it adhere. That's what it's made for. It is not made to go on wood furniture. It's just not. That's not what it is built for, okay? Let me ask you this. If you're a woman and you're watching, do you use the same soap for your face that you use for your body? I bet a lot of you don't. Or do you use bath wash for your hair? Also, you probably don't. Do you use dish soap? Do you squeeze it in your washing machine to clean your clothes? Probably not. But why? It's all soap, right? Why don't we use the same soap for our body, our hair, our face? Why don't we use the same soap to wash dishes and to wash, our sheets and our towels? Soap is soap, right? Well, yeah, it is. And in a pinch, you probably could. You could probably use the same soap for all of that. And to some extent, it would work because soap is soap. Just like paint is paint. So yes, you can paint furniture with latex paint. Of course you can. But it's not made for that. That's not what it's made for. Just like your Dawn dish soap is not made to wash your clothes, right? Just like your body wash is really not made for your hair. There's a reason why we have shampoo, and it's because our hair needs different things than our skin does, or the skin on our face needs different things than the rest of our body does, right? So in the rest of our lives, we realize that we tailor products and we formulate products differently to serve different purposes. And it's the same deal with paint, you guys. Latex paint is made for your walls. It is not made to go over furniture. Here's the deal with a wood piece of furniture, okay? Imagine this wood box that's filled with other wood boxes, drawers and things. What you need to realize about wood is that wood is constantly contracting and expanding with temperature and with humidity, constantly. So when you put something on top of it, it needs to be able to contract and expand with temperature and humidity. And yes, your walls are doing a little bit of that, but it's happening over across this big surface. And so it's kind of smaller what's happening versus this little contained box. It's moving a lot. And so what you put on top of that needs to be able to do that. And you guys, latex isn't made to be able to kind of fluctuate like that. That's why a lot of times over time, your latex paint on your furniture cracks, because it's not working with the wood and the surface like a furniture paint, a paint that's built to go over furniture does. It's built to go on your walls and stay there. It's also built to go on your walls and not be touched, not have people sliding things across it, setting food on it, you know, sitting things on it. It just kind of goes there and it stays there. And your paint for your furniture is built to have stuff on it all the time, right? It's just different. So if you ever use, like, again, of course you can use paint, latex paint, to paint your furniture, just like you can use the same lotion that you use on your body for your moisturizer if you want to. Of course you can. But anytime you're using something off-label, or not for the intended purpose that it was built, you're going to sacrifice somewhere. You're going to either sacrifice in how easy it is to use, how long it takes you to use it, or the quality. And that's what's happening. When we're using latex paint to paint furniture, we're sacrificing, and it's taking us a lot longer to do it because it's supposed to go over primer. So you have to use a primer every time. And that takes longer, and your primer has to dry, and it's stinky and it's smelling. You got to clean it up, and you got to use mineral spirits to wash out your brushes. And then you got to wait for your latex paint to dry. And it's taking you longer, and you're having some quality issues from it. If you don't immediately, you will long term. Because again, it's just not built for that, okay? So that's the one reason why, you know? And I get that it's like, well, paint is paint. And yes, of course that's true. And if you're ever gonna only piece of furniture in your life and you have a can of latex paint in your house sitting around, sure, go ahead and use it. You can, it will be fine. But if you're painting lots of things, or if you want to begin this as a business or as a project, then it makes sense to use something that's built specifically for that purpose. Just like it makes sense to use moisturizer and shampoo different than the rest of the products that you use for the rest of your body, okay? So that's reason number one. Reason number two that I personally don't use latex is that it is mildly toxic. And you guys, I am not like a crunchy granola earthy person. My life is too busy for that. I do what I can, right? I've got 3 little kids, and so I do what I can. And when I'm organic, I do, and when I can use something that's eco-friendly, I can, but I can't always, and that's okay, okay? Hi, Wendy. But you know, I want you to think about this. If you look on a can of latex paint, it advises you to wear gloves when you're painting. Most of us don't. But the reason is because it is a little bit of a toxic ingredient. It just is. So, and again, but think about it. You're painting your walls and it smells, right? Like you don't want to be in there, and it's because there's stuff in the air that your body is reacting to that your body doesn't like. That's what it smells. But eventually it dries and it's fine and you don't smell it anymore. And it's really okay because you're not touching your walls all the time. You're not rubbing up against your walls. You're not putting food on your walls that's going to go in your mouth, or clothes on your walls that are going to again then go in your body, right? You're not. So you don't really, like, if you can not use latex paint for the inside of your house if you're someone that's really concerned about toxicity. But for most of us, it's going to be okay. But think about if it's on your furniture. What do you do to your furniture? You touch it all the time. Your hands are on it all the time. You're eating a cookie and you sit it down on your piece of furniture and you pick it back up and you put it in your mouth, right? You lean up against your headboard and you read a book with your pillow, and then you sit down and you flip that pillow over and you lay your head on the pillow that's been leaned up against the headboard. You touch your furniture and you put things on your furniture that touch your body and go into your body. So would you want to use a product on there that you know is a little bit toxic when you don't have to? Like, you don't have to. There's other things that you can use that are completely non-toxic that you don't have to use. So again, I'm about working smarter and not harder, right? If I don't have to use something that's toxic, if I have another affordable, easy option, then I'm going to use it, okay? And the paint that I work with it's affordable and it's just as easy. In fact, I think it's even easier, okay? So that's reason number two. The third reason that I don't use it is because I am not convinced that it's any cheaper. I'm really not. And I hear that a lot, like, well, this stuff is expensive. And yes, ounce per ounce, furniture paint, including the paint that I sell and other paint on the market, it is more expensive than latex paint. It goes back to, remember I said latex is a cheap ingredient. Okay, and that's why we use it to mix large quantities of things. You don't need large quantities of things to paint a piece of furniture. You only need a little bit. So you can afford to have a higher grade ingredient in that small thing, right? You can afford that because you don't need a huge, massive amount of it. But let's just say that maybe it is cheaper. Let's pretend, let's say that, okay, maybe it is. Let's assume that maybe using latex at the end of the day does cost less than using furniture paint. I want you to think about this, and this is something my husband reminds me all the time. Whenever we, products that we buy or that we use or that we're making or services, we always want three things from them. We want them to be cheap, not cheap, but affordable and inexpensive, and we want them to be good quality, and we want them to be fast, right? Everybody wants those three things. But really, it's almost impossible to get all three of those, okay? Think about it. If you have like your favorite mechanic that you go to, and he is really, really good, you know he will fix your car, that he's not going to jip you, he's not going to lie to you, you trust him completely. But he's cheap. He doesn't cost a lot. Well, you know what? He's probably not fast, is he? You probably have to wait a while for your car because everybody's out there to see him, right? If you go to like fast food is the definition of this. It's cheap and it's fast, but it's not very good quality, right? You can't get filet you can't get stew, at a fast food restaurant. You can get two of the things, but you can't get the third, right? If you really start to think about it, it's true. It's true just across the board. So let's assume that using latex paint is actually more affordable and cheaper. Well, then what does that mean? It means that you're either losing quality or how quickly you can do it. You've got to be sacrificing one of those two things. And if you're somebody that's painting for your own home, that's not a big deal. But if you're somebody that's painting professionally and if you're selling your pieces to people, that should concern you. And I really want you to think about that because your time is money. You're probably taking longer to do things than you need to do. You're doing more steps than what you need to do. And your time is money. And you may be producing a product and a long-term piece of furniture that is not as durable and high quality. And you want to know that when somebody walks out the door with your piece of furniture that it's going to last them. And so if latex is cheap, then we're definitely sacrificing on one of those two things. And that's a problem, okay? So, but really, I'm not convinced that it's any more affordable. I'm not, because like I said, latex is built to go over a primed surface. So if you're gonna paint with latex, you have to use a primer. You also have to do some extensive sanding, okay? I'm not talking about one piece of sandpaper and some scuffing. Sometimes you're using a power sander. You're going through a lot more. There's a lot more prep that goes into that, okay? And so more prep is just more products, more sandpaper, sometimes a power sander. The best primer is oil-based, and if you're using an oil-based primer, then you gotta have a different brush and you've gotta have mineral spirits to clean it up, okay? So already you're at like 4 or 5 things that you need to paint a piece of furniture with latex. And yeah, all of those things individually are inexpensive, but if you're consistently adding them up, like, I don't know that it's saving you any money, because to paint a piece of furniture with Fusion Mineral Paint, you need 1 jar of paint that, in my store at least, is $20.99. And you need a piece of sandpaper this big. And you need to clean it, and there's lots of stuff that you probably have in your home already that you can use to clean it. And that's all that you need. That's really all that you need. So, if you're painting a lot, of course, there's lots of other stuff that you can buy and accessory products that you can spend more money on. But at the end of the day, you need 1 jar and a little piece of sandpaper versus these additional products. And a lot of times over here, you need a poly too. I forgot to mention that. A lot of people want to poly their latex for additional durability. You guys, I'm going to be really honest with you. I've been painting furniture to sell for 7 years. And I have used primer on 1 piece of furniture in that entire 7 years. I don't use it because the paints that I work with don't require it. And the only time I used it was because I was cleaning a piece and I found that a cat had peed on it. And that's nasty, and I'm sorry. But you know how terrible that is. And no amount of cleaning was getting that smell out. So that is why I used it. But other than that, I don't use it. It's not necessary for what I'm doing. So that's a product that I don't have to buy, and I don't have to spend money on, and I don't have to buy the things to clean it up. And hi, Eliana. So just that's where I'm coming from. Okay. So when I'm having these conversations with people, like the gentleman that was in here, the lovely gentleman that was in here, and he said, well, why do I need this? Why can't I just go to Home Depot and grab some paint? And I was kind of like, and then I thought about it all week. Why don't I just go to Home Depot and grab some paint? These are the reasons why. I had to really kind of remember, because again, I haven't had that conversation with anybody in a long time, but it's coming back. I'm having it a lot more now. So I had to think about it and remember, and that's why I don't. Because I'm using a paint that is wind up, it's not built for what I'm doing, and so I'm having to sacrifice somewhere. It's either taking me longer or I'm not getting as good of a quality. It is mildly toxic, and I'm not convinced that it saves me any money. I'm just not. Long term, I'm not convinced it saves me money. So that's why I don't use it. I love the products that I work with, and they have given me consistently good results for 5 years. I think they're really great. And they have allowed me to do what I do quickly. I know what to expect. I know what I need to do. I do it inside, in the middle of my living room, with my kids running around. It's not smelling. It's not making a mess. There's not a lot of cleanup. It's just easy. And it's producing things that I feel really good about, and that I feel like are going to last, and that I feel like are going to be durable for my customers. So that's the conversation that I wanted to have. And I don't claim to know everything about everything. I don't. But this is my experience. This is what I've worked with for a long time. I've tried a lot of paints out there. This is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I know. And so if you want to learn how to transform your furniture, then come and see me or email me. Then I am so happy to walk you through this, because there are, like I said at the start, there are a million ways that you can do it. This is how I do it, and I love how I do it, and I think it works really well. And I'm happy to show you. I'm happy to show you the process that has consistently worked well for me, and that I really believe can work well for you. I would love to walk you through that, because I want everybody to know that they can have a beautiful home on a budget. I really, really believe that you can have beautiful, excellent furniture, that you can take that thing that was your grandmother's, that is still in great shape, you just don't like the way that it looks anymore, and make it something treasured that you love in your home. I'm 100% convinced of that. So thank you guys for joining and watching me today. It is time for me to go open up my doors and say hi. So I'm going to do that, but I hope that this gave you guys some food for thought, some things to think about. Like I said, it was just swimming in my brain kind of all weekend long, and I thought, I'm just going to hop on and talk about it. Let's have a conversation, and let's learn, and just want to share my experience. And if I can help, then I'm all about helping. That's what I love to do. So you guys are fantastic. Thank you for joining me this morning, and I'll see everybody around. See you again soon, okay? Thanks, bye-bye.